It is time. Okay, I don't even know if we're streaming yet. Let's go see if we're finding out here. Oh, it looks like it is happening, people. It is happening. Okay. Let me just mute so that it's all good. Let's open this up. And it's beautiful. But let's wait for people to show up first. At least a couple people. Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company. And all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So filled me something. I can't even remember. Okay. Shall we start anyway? I think we should start. Today is second half of Act 2 of our novel. I hope you guys have been following along and wondering, hey, how can I take part? It's easy. You just do. You pick up a pen, a paper. I am working through this lovely thing. Plan your book. Can you see it? I bet you can. Sorry, it's a little delayed there. Plan your book, 24th chapter, Derek Murphy. Look it up. It's helpful. It's super helpful. So that is what I'm doing, yo. We went through Act 1. We started Act 2, and now we have come to the midpoint. Or I should say we just finished the midpoint. Discovery and ultimatum. New information. Valuable share, in or out. This is what the sign says. So, we're starting with Act 2 with the midpoint where our lovely protagonist goes from victim to warrior. And I go from thirsty to quenched. So, some things to go through, because I like to bring pieces of paper that you guys cannot really read, but I'll read it for you. This is from the E.M. Walsh. I thought it was just interesting, because if you're suffering from I don't know what to do, she has some suggestions. While I've talked about ways writing the second act is so difficult, that really does little to actually fix the problem of a sagging second act. I agree. Talk less. Write more. Don't let them know who you're against, who you're for. Hamilton. So, it says, luckily, my friend Kirsten over at Well Story does a great job going into details about the second act. So instead of trying to reiterate the same thing myself, I'm just going to point her to you. What? But I didn't go to her. Anyway, this guy says, okay, you're stuck. You don't really know what to do. Boom. Go and explore some side characters. Who are those side characters? You know, I don't. It's your story. I'm not even sure who I have for side characters yet, other than, well, let's call them the love interest and the co-worker. I haven't really named them yet, and that probably bodes well for this novel that I'm writing, Sucking. The most fun and easy way to get through your second act is to give some time to the side characters. Not every part of your character story needs to be about the protagonist. And the second act, well, I mean, it should link to the protagonist. You don't want to dilly-dally. It's all going towards the same thing. I mean, Lord of the Rings has a lot of side characters, but they're all aiming towards vanquishing Mordor and Sauron. Or Saruman. I've always got those guys confused. In order to remember who's who, I just have to remember that one scene in Lord of the Rings where Saruman has just, got the first Uruk-hai born. He goes, whom do you serve? And the Uruk-hai goes, Saruman. And since I know he's talking about the dude in white in front of him, that's how I know who's who. Otherwise, no clue. Okay, so explore some side characters. Create more problems. That's another thing that you can do. One of the reasons your second act may be struggling is because you were going way too easy on your main character. It's quite possible. If the path towards Act 3 seems like a straight shot forward, then you need to add some extra conflicts to your story. Yes and yes. Thank you. Then, another option. Develop the internal. So instead of focusing on the external, look to the internal dilemmas. This is when the characters and stories will have philosophical or deep discussions that get to the theme of your story, or see something seemingly random that connects to their own personal struggle and provides an answer. That's lovely. And then my favorite technique, divide and conquer. Basically, that's saying if you're having trouble, split up Act 2 into smaller chunks, which is why I selected Derek Murphy's little handbook to go through, because it's dividing Act 1 into 6 chapters, Act 2 into 12, and 6 chapters for the ending, for the last act. And so, first half of Act 2, 6 chapters, 6 chapters for the last act. However, I don't think this can be said enough. Plan your characters. We talked about it briefly last class. Last class. Like I'm a teacher. Where is it? I don't know how many of you guys are interested in NaNoWriMo. In November, National Novel Writing Month. If I'm telling you this and you've never heard it before, something is up. Something's wrong. So, they have some nano prep on their website. I guess I could just try and pop this out. Week 1 exercises. 4 ways to develop an idea. So you do that first week. Hash out your story. I kind of jumped over that because I already sort of knew what my story was, and I'm working on plotting it out now. However, week 2 exercises. This is something that might be useful to you guys. Remember, just go to the NaNoWriMo website, look around. Week 2 exercises, character questionnaire, question development and questionnaires. I did this, and it took a while, but it makes you think about things like name. I hadn't really thought of the name. Up until now, he's just been Hero. Not like Big Hero 6 movie, Hero, like Asian name. No. Hero is an Hero. I am lazy, so I apologize. But now he has a name. Connor. His name's Connor. Connor from Connor MacLeod from the Clan MacLeod. There can be only one. Highlander Club. Yes. That's the Goldbergs. You should watch that. But yeah, it goes through various things from their physical attributes and appearance and eye color and all that stuff. Where do they live? What is it like? Things about their appearance would they most likely to change, or what would they most like to change? What's their speaking style? What are their pet peeves, fondest memories, hobbies, special skills, abilities, insecurities, quirks, eccentricities? He likes to set things on fire. No, he doesn't. But temperament, negative traits, things that upset them, things that embarrass them. This character is highly opinionated about politics. He likes to go online and, feed the trolls. No, he doesn't. They don't have the internet in this world, so it's all good. People still get along, generally speaking. Family, deepest, darkest secret. Yeah, what do other people think about him? Favorite band, songs, type of music, favorite movie. My world doesn't have movies. No talkies or picture shows, so he doesn't have any movies or TV shows that he likes. Books, favorite foods, sports teams, etc., etc. It just makes you go through a lot of questions. It makes you, some of it irrelevant probably. You go like, why on earth? But it does help you, or does force you to have to think about these things. So then a section for your supporting characters. How do they know them? Section 3, complete this just for your antagonist, your evil villain. And then abstract antagonists. Is it a disease like cancer? A social ill like poverty? No, it's not. Yes. And don't forget the big 3 character questions. See, this is really important. I think this is really important and helps to... boom, there you go. Don't forget the big 3 character questions. First one, what does your main character want more than anything in the world? Well, that's a good question. I think my character wants to be loved. Don't we all, though? But I mean, specifically chosen, if that makes any sense. He's an orphan. He was abandoned by his parents because of his handicap, his sickness, his epilepsy. So I think that has made him feel like if his parents didn't want him, no one probably really wants him. So he hasn't developed a lot of close relationships. But like everyone else, he really wants to. He just doesn't want to be hurt like that again. So it's his secret desire. What do they need to grow as a person? Not necessarily the same thing as what they want. Well, I think we all need to learn to love ourselves a little bit, don't we? Well, I mean, what does he need to grow? He needs to just realize he has value. Apart from, what he can do. Just intrinsically, he is valuable. What major flaws and obstacles will stand in their way? Well, as long as he can derive value from what he can do, he probably won't learn until he can't do anything. It's physically hampered in some way, probably. So that's what I'm thinking has to be part of the story. At the end of at the end of Act 2, I think Dark Night of the Soul, he's stripped bare type thing. All the physical abilities he's gained, gone. And probably a lot more. And they are not sponsoring this video. But McDonald's, if you do, give me a call. Okay. Back. Sorry, I'm just scrolling around things I got. Okay. Then this is another resource you can find on the NaNoWriMo website, NaNoPrep 101. The plot. Oh, Derek Murphy again. Look at that. NaNoWriMo participant Derek Murphy says it. How lovely. He basically took the writer's journey and made it have sweet, sweet love with Dan Harmon's Story Circle, maybe. And voila, the plot. But I tried to go through this just to try and help me. It always helps to go through numerous things. So that's what I did. Ordinary world, inciting incident, first pinch point, midpoint. The thing that embarrasses me is we're working on the second act of Act 2, and I have nothing for the second pitch point, the second battle. Your main character has a second confrontation with the antagonist in some form. Maybe their plans lead to this, or maybe it was an attack they had to respond to. Either way, this second conflict eventually leads to things being much, much worse than they were before. What happens? What does your MC try to do? How do things get worse? I don't know, but that's what we're going to work on today. Because that's what we do here. And also because Camp NaNoWriMo is coming up in April, which is just like a week away. April 1st, people, sign up. Be there or be square. Basically, they have it, Camp NaNoWriMo, in April and I think July. So 2 months. And this is kind of helping you prep and get ready for November. So get ready, people, because I did nothing last November. I think I wrote for 4 days. I got maybe a chapter done. Not cool. This April, I am sort of dedicating myself to writing 20,000 words. That is my attempt. It's not quite 1,000 words a chapter. Actually, what? Let's see. Pardon me as I call up my little calculator here. Where is the calculator? Calculator. How I love you. If there's 24 chapters, then each chapter will be 833.33 repeating words. So that is basically what we're looking at. I need to write chapters of about 833 words, 0.33. For each chapter, which is probably a fourth of what it needs to be. But if I can write each chapter just like bare bones and do that for each chapter, then I can go back and I can start expanding. And if I screw up and think, oh man, now I want to change the ending, it won't be completely crazy. Anyway, second plot point, final battle, return to the ordinary world, all sorts of good stuff. Also on the website, huge workbook, which I never downloaded because it was like 100 pages, and I'm not crazy. And they have a checklist. It has nothing to do with Act 2, but I just wanted to share it. Boom, checklist. Stock up on writing fuel. Already done. Bookmark a few yeah. Clean your space. Designate a special writing place for yourself. Write a love letter to yourself. That's not on there. So anyway, there's that. It is very useful to print out this stuff. But I am trying to work on something, because just talking about character development last time filled me with a little bit of dread. I think that is why I screw up so much in the second act and why I struggle. So that's got to be fixed. What we have got so far is what I'm trying to create my own little. You can't really see it very well. Act 1, I'm thinking of Act 1 as kind of like the build up to a gorge. Act 3, which most people know how to write as well and feel fairly comfortable. See? Not sure if you can see it now, but Act 1, Act 3. They're kind of like the anchors of a bridge. And Act 2 is that crazy bridge that everyone hates going over. And what I wanted to do was have sort of the main line where people drive on, but metaphorically speaking, no. And the protagonist is like on the top. And I wanted to have kind of a mirror structure underneath, like the struts. Instead of the cables above, struts, which sort of mirror the protagonist, but this is the antagonist. So, yeah, when the protagonist has like, woohoo, a false victory and thinks he's like kicked some serious arse, nope. The antagonist has had a bigger victory below him, if that makes sense. So any kind of, yeah. And then this is another thing that I'm like, ugh. I wanted to write their wants and needs. That was another thing that was useful about character development. Is, remember the pinky people. Protagonist, they want something, and then that's sort of their conscious thing, but then what they need. And I thought it might be helpful for me, maybe not for you, that, you know, the first plot point happens. He wants something. And I am going to have him achieve it, what he wants, at the midpoint. But then he realizes it's not really what he wants. So he makes a new want, which is also not really what he needs. And he doesn't realize that need, though he has an inkling of it. He doesn't realize that fully until plot point 2, like the end of Act 2, where Dark night of the soul. Life sucks. So I'm still working on this. And at the same time, I wanted to do a mirror thing for the antagonist, which I haven't done yet. Because just like the protagonist needs to be driving and active, the antagonist needs to be doing that too. They have their whole other life going on while the protagonist is off doing stuff. And it's worth mentioning that protagonists, or what they say, that villains are heroes of their own story. So they want bad things. They'll do bad things to get them, but they're still sort of going through the same hero's journey that your protagonist is. So I think it would be helpful for me to do the similar. What is like the lie they believe? What is their want? And I think because wants can change, the wants are kind of shallow stuff. The antagonist will want something at the beginning of the plot point 1, and he will achieve it at the midpoint as well. Only his victory will be like true, in a sense. And then, having achieved it, he's going to come up with a new want to the end of plot point 2, the end of Act 2. So the antagonist has a want, hits the midpoint, achieves it, and then picks a new want. Whereas the protagonist has a want, gets to the midpoint, achieves it, and realizes he doesn't really. No, it's not what he wants. It was a hollow thing. And then they both This is my. I hope it works. And then Act 3. Anyway, and there's lots more information. Let's go through it, shall we? I found some stuff that I plucked from the interwebs. So let us. This is from Helping Writers Become Authors. See, I just discovered how to do this. Pretty cool. So let's begin, shall we? Let me just call it up myself. 6 parts of the character arc in the second half of the second act. This stuff makes me a little nervous because I don't think I have any of these. But hopefully it'll help you figure it out. What? As long as you've set up all of these elements in the third plot point, you'll have everything properly in place. Ugh. I'm doomed, guys. Doomed, I say. 1, allow the character to act in enlightened ways. See, I don't think I have this. Thanks to the lessons learned in the first half of the second act, the revelation at the midpoint, the character is now able to act in ways he wouldn't have been able to in the first half. I don't know what enlightened ways, is this strictly like a mental thing? Or can it be act physically? Because I guess at the midpoint, my protagonist is going to be freed from the control of this evil company. But I don't think now he can act freely, but I'm not sure if that's enlightened. He has new tools to work with. Yes, he will have new tools. But now he has a pickaxe. Yeah. Nope. I think it probably includes what I'm talking about. So boom, done it. Trap the character between the old lie and the new truth. Okay, the midpoint has brought him to an understanding of the truth, which he is busy acting on it. But he has yet to face the lie. It's still there, buried deep within his subconscious. I suppose that's true. He kind of he knows what he needs to do. Maybe he knows his need now, but he still has that want. Yeah, okay. I think there will be some of that. He's going to still struggle, I think, at the end. He's going to come to a point where he's still, and we're not talking about he still doesn't value himself. He thinks all he has to offer is just what he can do. And I think he's still going to try and solve it. Interesting. So, on to the next one. Initiate the character's attempt to escape the effects of the lie. And this, yeah, see, this is where I think that they have one want in the first half of this first act, or in the first half of the second act, and they have a different want in the second half of the second act, and they have their need that goes through it. Like here, they're talking about the Three Kings. Haven't seen the movie, guys, so I could be way off base here. But I think it sounds like, okay, these characters, if I recall correctly, they're in the United States Army. There's gold involved, so I'm guessing there's some sort of like, they want to be the good guys, but they know their own shortcomings. They probably join the army because they do believe, they want to be associated with the goodness of that organization as seen by the rest of the country, and sort of piggyback off that virtue. So they want to be virtuous. They also still want the gold. So, I mean, their first want, get the gold. Second want, we'll help them, but we're still going to go back to get to the gold. So they're sort of going back and forth. I'm intrigued. I should probably watch this movie. Anyway, for number 4, contrast your characters' before and after mindsets. This, I don't know. Should I? Basically, in the first half of the second act, if he was a selfish jerk who threw his fast food garbage at the homeless guy, in the second half, he looks at the guy, looks at his uneaten Big Mac, and hands it over. So there's kind of mirror images stuff going on. I don't know what that would mean for my novel, if it would be quite like that. I don't know. See, some of these things I have to think over myself. I hope that someone is finding this semi-useful. And provide your character with a false victory. Thanks to your character's energetic and enlightened determination in this section, the second act will end with what at first seems to be a great big victory. The thing he wants will be right within his grasp. All he has to do is reach out and take it. Yep. That is the end of the second act, I think. However, see, I don't know. We'll come to this shortly in the workbook that we're doing. Derek Murphy's. Why do I say his name with a fake Scottish accent? I feel like Derek and Murphy. Murphy's more Irish, isn't it? Irish Murphy? I don't think Murphy's Scottish, but I can't do an Irish accent. I can't really do a Scottish accent. However, I try. So, yeah, Act 2 should end with a false victory. And I think, well, let's see. The thing he wants is right there, and he wants to go at it with everything, but he's unsettled. Something about the whole thing doesn't feel right. If he's going to claim the thing he wants, he'll have to subject himself to the lie's thrall once again. So what is, if his lie is that he's worthless, that no one wants him? See, yeah, I'm going to have to do some serious, more pondering about this. We'll do some writing sprints with this workbook. So hopefully I'll have time to think it over. Blatantly demonstrate the crux of your character's arc. That's number 6, by the way. No time to be subtle, people. You have to give him and the readers a solid validation of the truth. Spell it out. What is the thing he needs? Man. Further examples of character arc in the second half of the second half. Cars. See, I know a lot of these movies. Not so much books. It's kind of a shame. I have not read... Well, no, I've read Christmas Carol. What am I talking about? Cars. After the midpoint, Lightning's mind has been opened. He views Radiator Springs in a new light and is rewarded with discovery after discovery. Doc's 3 Piston Cup victories and Miss Sally's reason for leaving behind the fast lane. Lightning responds with, he still wants to get to the, so he's developed the truth, but he's still clinging to the lie that the racing is like super important. Interesting. Yeah. But then is my ultimate truth that he has value? Is that, maybe I'm just being too broad about that? That he hates himself? Maybe like at the end he's willing to sacrifice himself. And that seemingly would solve all the problems. And he does it not because out of some noble, but just because he's like, he feels like people would rather have him dead. It's like, oh my goodness. And then here's some more from another Sarah Latourneau. The basics of the charge. The charge covers the second half of Act 2, starting after the Revelation midpoint and ending around the story's 75% mark, which is end of Act 2. Yes, charge marks the protagonist's shift from a state of reaction to one of initiative, so they go from being a little more passive to more active. The protagonist has spent the first half of the story behaving according to their false belief. Interesting. See, the more I think about it, the more I think my false belief is to, like, how can, in the first half, he's acting like, maybe the only value he brings is what he can do, not who he is. Maybe that's a better view, a better truth. And then he learns that no, he has value regardless of what he can do. So I'm going to have to do some thinking on that, yo. Okay. Thus, the charge is like reverse struggle. New truthful behaviors. Returning mirror characters. This, not quite sure. If any mirror characters are established during the struggle, what interactions do they have with the protagonist during the charge? I might have to do some more reading. All the while, man, there's so much stuff. So much stuff. How the charge traps the protagonist between her false belief and its opposite truth. So, yet another site that's talking about they have a false belief and a truth. And they struggle between the two and vacillate between the two. And then she uses some weird example that I have no idea about, so I'm skipping over all that stuff. Oh my goodness, now we're getting into like, let's just say this is a huge stuff, examples. Yikes. Screenwritingtricks.com. Alexandra Sokolov. Sounds like a Russian spy. My name is Alexandra Sokolov. I'm here for the nuclear codes. The first half of the second act, a major shift in something huge will be revealed. Something goes disastrously wrong. Someone close to the heroine dies, intensifying their commitment. What I call the now it's personal scene. Often the whole emotional dynamic between characters change with what Hollywood calls sexy at 60. That's 60 pages, not 60 years. And it's called the point of no return. They can no longer, they commit to the further action. And a ticking clock is introduced at the midpoint. A clock is a great way to speed up the action and increase the urgency of the story. So I'm trying to think of like maybe Toy Story when Buzz gets knocked out. You know, Woody kind of accidentally helps him out the window. I think that's probably what they're talking about. And then they have to get back to the house within a certain amount of time. Because are they moving? It's been so long since I've seen the movie. And the midpoint will also be one of the most memorable visual set pieces. It's a game changer. So, yeah, lots of stuff. So if you guys want to check any of these resources out, please do so. Let's just shut that off. Okay. Are you time for some writing exercises? One more sip. Okay. We're going to do this for like 20 minutes. This is just plotting out the novel, people. Then, next week will be act numero 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It'll be act 3 next week. And then hopefully that'll be Tuesday, and then one day, Wednesday, and then the next day will be, Thursday will be April 1st, and the beginning of Camp NaNoWriMo. So let's get this stuff done. Okay, so the discovery and ultimatum. My character woke up. If you're doing this yourself, feel free to mute me, because let's face it, not everyone wants to listen to me drone on. So feel free to mute and set your timer for 20 minutes, and let's get this going. Mirror stage, self-realization or discovery, victim to warrior. Well, Connor learns he's assassin, almost killed his love interest. Love interest. So, even more. Wants coworker to cut out the device. Coworker says can't do it here. Need BioWare surgery bay. Extraction machine of some sort. So, boom. So that's one point. So now he's given a new want. He wants to get, well, a couple new wants. He doesn't like who he is, but he has these abilities, and he wants to use them to rescue the love interest and get this thing out of his head. So, and, okay, wants, I'm going to make a list. Wants device out of head. Rescue love interest. And take down BioWare. Dun, dun, dun. Not the Edmonton Gaming Company, just so we're clear. I love them. Looking forward to the Mass Effect trilogy remastered on the Xbox One. Well, it'll be on lots of different ones, but I'm looking forward to that most of all. So, next chapter, chapter 14, plan of attack. Well, sits down with coworker and gets all the, because this coworker used to work for Bioware. In fact, they were pretty high up muckety muck, so they know all the locations and such needed. Can't hack from outside. Data only flows out. Like, yeah, so he's... Oh, man. Act 2 is the hardest, and I kind of loathe it. And I think I hate it and loathe it because it just reminds me that I don't really have a firm grasp on my characters. If you're struggling, I would suggest that's probably why as well. You know, you had a cool idea for a world and some cool setups and a finale, but the character is what drives Act 2. So if you're struggling, that's probably why. Just my humble opinion. So hash out your character even more if you're struggling like I am, which is probably what I need to do. Can't hack. So see, and some of this stuff is kind of confusing, like the plan of attack for chapter 14 and critical role trusted with an important task feels like the same thing. Like the plan of attack is the crucial role. I mean, I suppose it could be, you know, we have all these different things, like in Mission Impossible. The plan of attack is what they're going to do to break into the server room in that really tall tower. But Tom Cruise has a crucial role, and he is, you know, he has to climb on the outside of the building, or he has to be down there talking to the assassin. So if I treated this maybe like a bank heist plan. With coworker leading the charge with plan. Like he's coming up with the plan. And because good old Connor doesn't think much about his intellect, his own intellect, not the other guy, coworkers. He's just like, yep, sure, I'll do it. Which maybe Connor argues for a more frontal assault. Coworker wants stealth. So maybe Connor, the crucial role has to go to question mark, relay station. No, he has to go to the main. He has to go to the main building. Break in and destroy the computers. So, the group of resistance has planned out this whole thing. Connor's got the main focus, and he's got the main sort of, you got the most important thing. We're going to do this at this relay station. We're going to redirect the satellites. This guy's going to create a diversion, blah, 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 et cetera, and Connor has the most important of actually getting in, getting through security, getting down to the server rooms, and shutting things down. Yes. Second pitch. This is second battle. So he heads to building, is greeted with thousands of BioWare-controlled drones. Children, women, men, standing there with weapons, defending the building. So Connor feels like he can't attack straight. He can't hurt these people because they're not there under their own volition. BioWare has just activated everyone to defend the building from them. So let me see. So the second battle is going to have to be, it's very generic here. It literally is like trying to get through. How? I don't know. Surprise failure. Gets to the computer room. Followed closely by other grade A+ assassins. If you remember, I was thinking all of them would be graded when anyone who joined BioWare would be graded physically. Like, a big chubby overweight guy might get a D or a C or who knows, but someone who's really tip-top shape, young, strong, would get A+, and they would be entrusted with more important matters. So, whereas the people outside the building defending were probably just everyone they could round up, and they could tell them to just try and hack or slash. They're not really good fighters, so he could easily take them 1-on-1 or even 5-on-1 or 10-on-1. But there are other assassins just like him. So he gets in, he shuts down the computer. Nothing happens. Assassins still come for him. He has to come up with a new plan. His plan. So the computers have backups off-site. So maybe that whole plan was, we got to shut down the backups and the way to, but now the other people failed. So, shocking revelation. So he gets up to, this is where I'm thinking he gets up to the CEO's office. She has love interest there. Also under BioWare's control. Knife to throat. So maybe the love interest has she's holding a knife to her own throat, just waiting for the command to cut her own throat, which is kind of grotesque. But that's what we do. It's what we do in the writing world. We visit really interesting and perverse and weird situations. Okay, anyway, so she's own throat. CEO and Connor have talk, threaten each other. CEO wants to regain control over Connor again. So forces him to get to extraction machine again. Okay, removes device. So now the removes device might be experimental, but I mean, having something with tentacles in your brain pulled out, going to do some damage. So he collapses, can't move or weakly. CEO shows her own device. Co-worker walks in. So he, the co-worker, who's part of the resistance, the co-worker of his love interest, comes in and it's like, ha ha ha, I'm the real villain. I was he's the one who actually invented the device in the first place, and he got kicked out of the company. They stole his work and all that. So he's never been he probably pretended that he got kicked out because he was concerned about how it was going. But in reality, he just was upset that he got kicked out and didn't benefit from it. So he's sort of figured out a way to take control of the CEO and thus take control of everybody. So, boom. That's at the end, the shocking revelation. So he is, man, yeah, he is done. He is, whereas he started strong and with all these amazing abilities, and Act 2 ends with, I want him to end up basically paralyzed on the floor, unable to move his body, and or at least very slowly. Ugh, yeah. Body doesn't work anymore. The friend that he thought he had is the enemy. Girl that he loved, gone. So he's just lying there in the building. Should he be arrested? Or would they arrest him? Well, I could. Is that too much? Am I throwing too many rocks at him? I'm like, okay, he's paralyzed, best friend traitor, love interest kidnapped. Should he be arrested for all the assassinations he's done? Have they pinned them on him? That might be too much. I feel it might be too much. So, we'll see. We shall see what happens. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. I'm just fiddling around with stuff. Oh, there. Finally. I've been trying to see who's watching because it says, hey, some people are watching, and I'm still working on the Twitch thing. So, hello, joint effort and repined. I'm sorry that I missed out on you guys being here and didn't say hello. I'm not sure if you guys are wanting to share what you guys are working on. That would be awesome. But I'm not going to force you. I am going to force you. No, I'm not going to force you. Anyway, so that is, if you want to, great. But I'm not going to force you. Now we're at Act 3, and this is the last part that we're going to talk about. Not today. We'll talk about it next week, Tuesday. And we'll continue going through the workbook, and hopefully we will finish this section. Hold on, where are we at here? Yeah, 24, yeah, so we'll finish those chapters. Death of, what? Rebirth. Oh, these are optional scenes. Good. And what's nice is at the end of this thing is when we start writing. Now this says scene checklist, but I think it would be helpful for chapters. Can you guys see that? Do I need to go? Oh yeah, I need to go down. There, scene checklist. So when we finish with the act stuff, yeah, we finish with it. Then we write out a better, more concise novel plotting out the novel, all 24 chapters. And then the scene checklist, I'll just pop it out. It's probably easier. It's easier to do it this way. Boom, scene checklist. You can ask these questions as you are preparing to write each chapter. What happens? The motivation of the characters, what's stopping them, reaction, synthesis, action, change or reveal, pause for effect, tension, snapshot, momentum, relevancy, end scene, so end the chapter with an unresolved conflict, cliffhanger. It's why when you're reading a book and you reach the end of the chapter, like, oh, I could go to bed, but I think I'm going to read one more chapter. Because the chapter ends and it's like, I want to keep going. So that is what, hopefully we'll do Act 3 and just talk about those briefly next. And we'll go from there. Any thoughts? Anything that anyone wants to add before I call it quits tonight? Before I start singing again? Broadway shows? Seraphimo, away with this pretense. You cannot speak, but kiss me in my husband's absence. That's Phantom of the Opera. Though it's sung by a woman, but it's just a nice song, and I like it. Or, see, writing a musical would be fun. I think I talked about it in the last thingamajiggy, but I don't think I have the musical chops to do it. I'm no Lin-Manuel, whatever. I'm not him. So anyway, go through. I would highly recommend downloading Derek Murphy's the 24 chapter outline workbook, because it's really just a little piece of information on the top, and then you got the full page to write down basic information. And go from there. And then when we're done, hopefully we will have enough information that starting April 1st, Camp NaNoWriMo will start writing. And if we can get a chapter-ish, a short chapter done a day on the weekdays and have weekends off, or you can power through it and do it all early, then you'll be that much closer to doing it in November. And then we do it again in July and expound a little bit more and rewrite and tweak it, and it'll be even closer. And then hopefully when NaNoWriMo comes in November, you're not having much to write. You're just fluffing it and adding some depth and all that good stuff. So, ciao, bellas. It was lovely to talk to you. I'm sorry I didn't figure out how to see who was here before. So, joint effort, repined. I'm sorry. I should have said hello earlier. I'm sure you're lovely people, and I would have loved to chat with you. But it won't happen today. So hopefully you'll come by next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Same crazy time, same crazy station. Ciao.